Well, you're not supposed to do that.
Whoops. Welcome back to the Warlord Card Gamer and another episode on the Warlord Wednesday. It is Wednesday today. You will be seeing it on a different day, but it is Wednesday. So yeah, another episode of Warlord Wednesday, and we will be doing another deck. Today it's brought to you by John in the Warlord group on Facebook. He requested we do some Elf Warlords, and we haven't done those yet, so here we go. Elves. This is a classic, and I'm super excited to be looking at it because it's got a lot of really cool cards in the deck. So, Behlial. Let me pull one of these out. There we go. Behlial. Now that goes that way. Yeah. There you go. All right, so Behlial is a powerhouse of a warlord. He was actually the most powerful warlord originally. Zod was very close by always, but he was always one of the other ones up there. This is my Behlial J-Drop deck, so each deck has a different name. And as a cool side note, the foils for this particular set, so this Assassin Strike is the second set in Warlord, they're obnoxiously awesome. They're all foil. Wow. It's really hard and annoying to... Go up a little, left a little. That way, yeah. Like that, there you go. Jesus. Yeah, they're obnoxiously foiled. They're hard to get, especially the Warlords, because...
cameras hate them.
Yeah. So yeah, they're really funny. It's like, blinding. It's the only set that they're like that, so it was only their second set way back when. This is from 2001, I think. Yeah, 2001. So this was drawn by the amazing Lynn Hunter, so playmat is also by her. This is Wrath, which was from the first set, Saga of the Storm. Anyway, so anybody who knows a little bit about Warlord might know, maybe might guess what this is about. So J-Drop, what is it? It is a deck. The whole goal is to drop the big bad wolf, and she is here, Behlial. So kind of the name plays off of things like J-Lo, but yeah, so J-Drop is Behlial drop. We want to bring this girl out. She is an amazing overlord. She's an assassin, and if she hits anything, she kills it. So that's why super powerful, and the whole point of this deck is to get her in play and basically win with her. So yeah, let's go through the deck, and we'll explain a few things as quickly as possible. Try and not make this a 3-hour video. Okay, so starting armies. What are we playing with? Behlial is amazing. Why is Behlial amazing? Behlial may start the game with clerics from other factions. Clerics joining your army suffer no loyalty penalty. So way back when, the loyalty penalty was characters would come into play one rank higher. That wasn't as inconvenient as people had hoped, and so the rules actually changed, and now loyalty penalty is characters out of faction, except for mercenaries, come into play in the same rank as they would normally come into play, but they come into play stunned. So with her, Behlial, or him, any characters that are clerics don't come into play with a loyalty penalty, which is pretty awesome. And the ability, they are a seer, and order once per turn, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may return them, turn them to the top of the deck in the same order, or shuffle them into a deck, and then you get to draw a card. So that is really powerful. It's basically a mini version of Toren. But the fact that you can start with that means that basically you're doing a 6-card hand, and you've got a little deck fixing included as well. These are kind of useless, and I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but I'm starting with Yarrs. I really like the idea of discarding things before they come out. So if you're playing against another deck that has some sort of combo, when Yarr is killed, your opponent has to discard the top 2 cards of their deck. Note that there is no decking out in Warlord. If you finish your deck, you don't lose, you just keep playing. Anyway, so that's my starting army. I've got Elemere's for draw. Before Elemere dies, draw a card. This is, I believe, the newest version, so it's actually a react. So if he's stunned, you don't get to do that. The original one was actually static. Yeah, so draw. We have lots of draw. This is my sideboard type thing. So we've got 2 Temples of Lores to begin with. Temple of Lore is just crazy powerful. It is 2 hit points. It's an automatic target whenever you put it into play, and it boosts everything, and so it just gives you, it's a shield. So we got Toren Yscar, super basic draw. Between the 2 of them, you're deck fixing crazy amount of stuff. Then we've got for draw, we've got Daedelias. Those are automatic draw. Put them into play, draw a card. Cantrip is what we called them last time. 4th edition gave us the amazing Lost Bride, which is the same thing. After it enters play, draw a card. So more draw. We'll continue with draw, and we've got 3 meat at the inn, obviously more draw. Then we've got Back Alley Tavern, which is spend order, draw a card, or react after another player uses a card effect to draw a card, or retrieve a card from his or her deck, draw 2 cards. In Ancients, lots of people are drawing cards, so tons of draw. And then lastly, because Behlial is a seer, they also get Forewarning, which is another one. Normally it's a spend order, choose an opposing player, that player must reveal his hand, and then you draw a card. But seers perform this without spending, so again, more draw. So that's tons of draw. We've got 6, 12, 13, 16, 17 cards of draw. No, 19 with the Elemere. So we got 19 cards of draw in this deck. That's almost half the deck, which is nuts. The next thing, one of the kind of givens that you've always got to have in this deck is Mass Blessing. I mean, it's just free bonus +5/+5 to any rank, and it's an order, so you don't lose anything out of it. Back to characters, we'll go backwards. So we already know that we're playing Behlial. Behlial is amazing, and her ability, again, once per turn, after Behlial has wounded a character, that character is killed. She is an assassin overlord. She's got stealth +8 integrated, so with 12 skill, that means that she's automatically succeeding on stealth. She's both a fighter and a rogue. Her attacks are stealth actions. That's irrelevant nowadays. And she may equip items and use action cards while imposing formation. That's also irrelevant. Stealth has changed from way back when. So the first out of faction character, and I think it might actually, oh no, yeah. The first out of faction character we play here is Orazhuk, which is again one of those all foil cards. It's obnoxious, I'm sorry. It's just really funny. Anyway, he is a cleric druid spend order, move forward or backward 2 ranks. So I really like that for building ranks, one of my favorite cards from way back when. And then spend order target and move a character in your army forward or backward 1 rank. So that helps you move stuff forward and backwards whenever. Now we've got another thing of draw, I forgot. We've got Grihilga, super powerful. That is, I think you get to look at the top card of each deck and you decide whether you discard it or draw it. You both draw it. Yeah, order once per turn, all players reveal their deck's top card. You choose whether the real card will be drawn or discarded. So there were 20 draw cards in this deck so far. We got level 5, we got Ravenwild. She just basically gets to redirect strikes. So obviously if you've got something you don't want dead, then if she's in play, you get to use her to move that strike around. Koratcghuk, this is one of my favorite obnoxious cards in the game. Why do I love him? He messes with everybody's rank. So with Temple of Lore, your cards come into play 1 rank further away. With Koratcghuk, everybody's cards come into play 1 rank further away. So that can screw up a lot of other decks. And not only that, he's a powerhouse. I mean, he's got 17 AC, he's got 2 strikes at 15 and 7. He does an additional wound whenever he hits with a melee strike. He's got 4 hit points. It's just a big beast, and he's at level 5 as well. So we got these 3 level 5s in here. We have a 4th level 5, and this is one of the other out-of-faction cards that we have in here. Prioress Sophique. This is actually one of the better type foils. That's from Epic Edition type. So she has Daybreak, which is basically the first turn. React after she enters play. If it is the first turn, characters in your front rank have +5 attack and AC until end of turn. So basically getting a free Mass Blessing. And then we have Nightfall, which is basically anything other than the first turn. After Sophique enters play, if it is not the first turn, search your deck for a card and put it on top of your deck. So deck fixing. So 20.5 draw. So we're at, those are the 4 level 5 cards. We've got now a Leviathan as a level 6 card. So again, we got to build ranks up to level 7. Leviathan, just a big thing, level 6. We've got Sirenspawn, which is one of my favorite dragons, and you can see in the foiling. It's beautiful. This is again from Epic Edition. I don't know if you guys can see it very well, but they're accented foils, and so basically it just really brings out the art. They're beautiful. So Sirenspawn's really cool because he's basically like a Chain Lightning. All dragons have like an ability, and so his is basically Chain Lightning. And his is spend order, perform a +7 range strike. If the strike kills a target, then perform a +4 range strike, targeting a character in the rank behind the first. Both strikes inflict 2 wounds. So he's pretty powerful for a level 6 dragon. And then level 7, I believe, is the most powerful outside of Supremacist. This is the 2nd type of foiling. So we got all 3 types in here. Yeah, you might not see it very well in there. This is Terrorshaard. So he is a beast. Outside of Supremacist being, the king of dragons. Terrorshaard's amazing because he also does inflicts an additional wound whenever he hits with a melee strike. He also has a spend order, destroy an item up to 2 ranks away. So guaranteed just either destroy and or if he's swinging, he's got 3 strikes at 11, 11, and 6, which do an additional wound. So there's a lot of things that can actually kill things in this deck. You don't really just need Behlial. So for movement here, we've got 3 Treewalks. Treewalks are great. One of my favorite cards in the game as well, and that is to move. You basically separate or replace cards. So if you've got something, you drop something big in the 5th, 6th, 7th rank, you automatically, damn it, sorry guys.
6.5 hours later.
Sorry about that, we had a bit of an interruption. So, I was talking about Treewalk. Treewalk is I think it's a super underappreciated card. I've always loved it because it's such a jank thing where like you can switch places of cards. Bakbo was one of my favorite characters way back when from the Free Kingdoms. And so basically you can just drop something that's stunned, useless in the front rank and switch it with one of these big guys that's coming up in the 6th and 7th ranks. So it's a great movement card. And Druids can play it as 2nd level spells, so your Orazhuk can actually play that as well. Next, we are looking at, I guess, utility cards. We've got the Ring of Savant, which is something from 4th edition. There you go. It is Scribe +4. This cleric gains +1 level for scribing and casting scribed spells. Scribed spells cast by this cleric are removed from the game. And it has the order once per turn. Choose a cleric spell in your discard pile. Succeed with a scribe check DC 22 to retrieve and attach the spell as if scribed. So the whole point of that, obviously, is to be able to recycle spells from your discard pile. Then we've got the Ring of Mending, which is one of the Epic Edition things from Stolen Destiny. It is not nearly as powerful as the other rings, I believe. It may not start in play. If you're playing Ancients, if you're playing Open, you can start it in play, attached to your Warlord. Your other characters do not unstun during the ready phase. That's usually a problem, kind of not so much in this deck. We'll get to that in a bit. And the ability is spend order, put any number of characters into play from your hand, discard your hand until end of turn. Characters in your army have +1 attack, AC, and skill for each character put into play this way. So the whole point of that is obviously, if you've got everything to play, 3 or 4 ranks backwards, you just drop that, put it all into play immediately, and avoid people from breaking your ranks. Not entirely convinced about the card in the deck, but it's there. We have 3 meta cards in here. Exhaustion, which is obviously the basic one. That obnoxious foil that you can't see, and that's Premonition. And then you've got a Clearing the Mark. Yeah, Clearing the Mark. So, Exhaustion, we already know what that does. Amazing. Premonition is a seer only, spend a react, level 3 cleric spell. It is basically like magic, it's a counter. Play after another player plays an action card. The action is cancelled and returned to the player's hand. Until the end of turn, action cards with that name may not be played. And then we've got Clearing the Mark. That is a level 2 rogue action. Spend order, target an item in play up to twice this rogue's level. On your next order, skip that order and instead remove the item from the game. So obviously, if you've got Behlial in play, she's a level 7 rogue, that means you can target basically anything in any game or in this game in play. And so like if anyone's playing some kind of jank, I guess it's not an Ancients, but at least in Open with a Medicine Lord level item, but you can basically target anything, 10 and up, because you need 14. 14 and down, that's just basically guaranteed destruction if it's a problem. And then we've got the actual, I guess, other than the basic inertia of killing your opponent through like swings, here's the jank in the deck. We've got Blood Beneath Your Wings. I've never really had a deck that played with this. I designed this deck around that idea. I was never a huge fan of giving your opponent free ready cards, but that's what this does. So this is spend order, ready all characters in play, but not this cleric. So basically, boom, everything is ready again. So that's why the ring isn't that much of a problem, the Ring of Mending, because it doesn't matter if you don't unstun, you get to use one of these and you just ready everything. And then the real jank is the react. There you go, that's the winning card right there. Spring Up. So Spring Up is react when a character readies outside of the readying phase, performing melee strike against that character. So guess what happens? You play Blood Beneath Your Wings, you will use Behlial to react with Spring Up to target your opponent's Warlord and kill them, hopefully. That's if you're rolling. And then if you happen to have Assassination in your hand, then that's good game. And this is basically roll a natural 20, and you do an additional wound, but you don't need that. As long as you hit with Behlial, opponent's Warlord is dead. The second Spring Up in the deck. So yeah, it's a super fun deck. There's a lot of stuff in here. It's a lot of janky stuff, but I haven't actually played it, but in theory, it's something that I would be excited to play. Yeah, I think my opinion here is that the most weak cards in the deck that I would, consider switching out, or probably having more of. So I've only got the 2 Blood Beneath Your Wings. Again, it only really matters because you need to have Spring Up in your hand. You have to have Behlial out, so I don't want to have a dead card in my hand. I'm not a huge fan of the Ring of Mending, but it's there to just drop a bunch of cards. I mean, you've got 20, 21 cards worth of draw. So you're going to be going through this deck really quickly, probably by turn 2, I want to say. Maybe 3 at latest. Hold on. We have the sideboard stuff. So the stuff that kind of belongs in the deck but doesn't. We got Magelines. I've always loved her. She will avoid the whole ring problem, and just usually super useful to having to unstun the big things that you're pushing forward once per turn. Target a stunned character, target becomes spent. So at the end of your turn, you can basically unstun things. Capex is super powerful. You can only have 1 in the deck for Ancients, but it is a automatic item destruction. So if you're fighting something like Zod, these 2 are awesome. Cerberus Signet and Calyx Signet. These are both level 9 items that you equip to people of that faction, and then when you're bringing characters of that faction into play, they come into play 2 ranks lower. Obviously, that would be for the dragons or for Belial, so those would be useful in this deck. Blackwater Steed. Unfortunately, it is super high level 11, so hard to equip, but it is awesome because it gives you lots and lots of movement. It's the order spend Blackwater Steed, move a character forward or backward on rank, so any character. And then order up to twice per turn, move forward or backward 1 rank. We've got the Falter Stones. This is just a meta card, so this is just like Exhaustion. Whenever somebody moves, you can remove a charge from it, and then spend them. And lastly, the Deck of Many Things, which is kind of like Grihilga, if I remember correctly. Spend the deck and discard a card from your hand. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. You may immediately play one of those cards from your hand as a normal order, playing an action, equipping, etc. As long as you can legally play the card, shuffle the remaining deck cards back into the deck. All right, so no, it's actually more like a Toren.
That is the most true D&D
card you've seen so far.
Out of this, yeah.
Yeah, Deck of Many Things. I really liked it. It's harder to play just because you have to actually play the card that you're pulling out of the deck. So that's why it's usually relegated to kind of like, if only you could play it, but you just can't. But anyway, so yeah, that's where we're at. Again, like and subscribe. Please let us know if you'd like to see a particular deck, and comment below what you think is good and what you would change in the deck. There's definitely, I'm sure, there's a lot of work to do with it. Yeah, take care. See you next week.